Tonight, it's must-see poker. Phil Hellmuth and his 14 World Series of Poker bracelets is at his first Poker Masters final table. And he's joined by one of his newest and fiercest rivals, German pro Fedor Holz, whose run over the last couple of years is the stuff of legend. The race for the purple jacket is on, and Phil, Fedor, and 5 others continue the chase now. Welcome back to Las Vegas for continuing coverage of the Poker Masters. It is the second final table in a 5-tournament lineup. Arlene Ajad, David Williams, and Maria Ho excited to be bringing you this action here. We have 7 players at this final table. $50,000 each they ponied up, possibly even more than that if they re-entered prior to level 9, as we got a look at the purple jacket they're all playing for. Chief among the stacks right now, Christian Christner, as we look at the Zinger Poker leaderboard. Fedor Holz in second with 1.1 million, and Tom Marchese rounding out the top 3.
Different type of trophy case.
I see a familiar face out there, David.
Oh yeah, the
Many,
poker,
but
the poker brat has made the final table.
Phil Hellmuth himself currently 6th in chips with 700,000 in front of him. And there's another look at that jacket they're playing for, and we've added an element to the broadcast. Today we'll have the shot clock you see right there, an iPad that the dealers are responsible for working as the action moves around the table.
Are you sure it's an iPad? Not like a Droid.
Maybe
or
it's an Android. You're right.
You know,
how unfair of me. It's like Kleenex. Kleenex is not a thing.
Yeah,
it's a brand.
It's tissue.
Exactly. Marchese putting some of his chips to work, raising it to 60,000 with the ace-7 offsuit. And he gets flatted by the queen-jack suited of Hellmuth. Christner along for the ride with the ace-deuce, and top pair for Phil Hellmuth, wheel draw for Christner, and swing and a miss for Marchese. Deuce on the turn and a second spade, a real nice card for Hellmuth, who improves his holding with a flush draw to boot. Christner has picked up a pair. $80,000 the bet now. $160,000 into the middle, down to heads up as Marchese bows out, and the river card is a 9. And seemingly before the card even hit the felt, Hellmuth is firing. 130,000.
Bluff. Queen. Bluff.
Phil Hellmuth shows.
Baby. Bluff? What do you mean bluff? You're the one who's going to try to bluff me. And today I'm ready. Today's going to be more fun. I'm going to play super tight, just the nuts. Let all you fast players bust yourselves for no reason. You're playing, what, 20 or 30 high rollers a year, right? Maybe more. More? Yeah.
And he wins about 10 of them.
Yeah. Maria Ho is on the sidelines. Maria, what do you got for us?
Holz was the first show up at the final table, and I took the opportunity to chat with him about his quote-unquote retired poker life. He says nowadays he chooses which tournaments he plays based on a combination of the desirability of its location and fun experiences off the felt, as well as the potential value of the series. For example, if there are multiple high roller events on the schedule, like here at Poker Masters. Another player at the final table today is none other than Phil Hellmuth. For those who watched the coverage from the 2016 Super High Roller Bowl, you may remember the interesting dynamic and table banter between Phil and Fedor. Fedor says he feels extremely comfortable playing against Phil and is not above a little smack talk to get under his skin. When asked about the purple jacket Fedor could win if he were to claim the title of Poker Master, Fedor says he actually has a purple jacket that looks a lot like it, so he could see himself wearing it out from time to time. Fedor came into the final table today second in chips behind Christian Kristner, so we will see if he is able to put himself in contention for the title.
Thank you, Maria, and our apologies for stumbling onto her. But we bubble over with enthusiasm from time to time. We get going, and then we clip our cues. We gotta cut that out. Maria doing good work out there.
I like your odds, Bryn. She sucks.
And it looks like while we were getting that update, we have an all-in and call situation where 2 6s were ahead until the flop
At least the diamond will make it fair.
I think
gave Sontheimer
we go for
top
the
pair. Bryn Kenny was the short stack here. He didn't have much of a choice than to go with the first holding that was
close.
doable for him, and he does pick up chop outs now in the form of a 10, but it's a 6 he's rooting for to double and stay alive. Otherwise, he's going to finish in 7th.
It's tough. I talked to Bryn before the tournament started, and he said his plan was to just sit back and let these guys be animals and bust out and fire, and then once they get shorthanded, ramp it up.
Well, unfortunately for Bryn, it's going to be an early exit at the final table, but he did make his way into the money as he finishes in 7th place and will pick up $125,000 for the effort. We should mention that Dan Shack was the 8th place finisher, the final table bubbleist, and he took home $100,000. One of the most talented no-limit hold'em players in the world out in 7th place. Back to Vegas after this. Action underway here at the Poker Masters. Let's get back to the final table as we see an all-in here from Adrian Mateos to $740,000.
It's almost all of Sontheimer's chips.
Sontheimer is going to call with the ace-queen, and here we go. It's a race. 2 overs against the pair. 1.54 million chip pot.
I guess if they keep folding to you, you win a lot of tournaments, huh? We're like the Eric Seidels and the Daniel Negreanu's just to pick you off all the time. You're just not around? Where am I to pick you off all the time?
Just like
Ace.
that.
You have to play against, you know.
And Sontheimer does have Mateos covered. If it weren't for Adrian blinking just now and shuffling his chips, I'd wonder whether or not he was with us. As we see a jack on the turn, and now Adrian down to the dreaded 2 outs once. And the 9 isn't going to work for him as he slides his chips into the middle, and they'll be sent Sontheimer's way. And just like that, Adrian Mateos again with a
I thought you said he doesn't
somewhat
football.
disappointing finish
Hey,
for him. But hey, that's
6
2 finishes.
6th place in all 5 events. He's going to be doing well.
Very good point.
You've been working out on the flip?
Yeah.
Down to just 5 players now, and Mateos is going to take home $150,000. Impressive back-to-back final tables for Adrian Mateos, but once again, it isn't meant to be as he cannot crack the top 3. There you get a look at the 6th to 8th place finishers, as well as what the top 5 will earn at this event. Over a $700,000 difference between 1st and 5th.
What did you see, Phil? You picked up a read? Face of a guy willing to gamble, I guess.
So we have a tweet here that says Hellmuth was asked about donkey and says Puggy Pearson was using it back in the day.
Oh, well, listen, I wasn't around to
You can't really debate that one.
argue whether or not Puggy Pearson.
I need you to shove on me with a 3 again.
I'm going to say as long as there have been donkeys, they have been called donkeys, if you know what I mean.
But
Yeah.
who knows? Maybe I'll have ace-king that hand, right?
Yeah. And I get there with my queen 3.
I think Phil should know he had 2 trays by now.
85?
Raised to 85,000.
So glad I'm out of that.
Wish we knew what Fedor had while he was thinking.
He calls the raise from the small. And Tom with a little extra zest on his call. It's almost like, great guys, thanks for laying me a price with deuce tray suited. And Tom flops a flush draw while Hellmuth flops middle pair. Checked all the way around, and 4 diamonds rolls off. Could Holz have the flush draw?
$165,000.
Call.
Call.
Tom leading the turn for 165,000, and an immediate call by Phil. Presumably Fedor did not have the diamond draw as the 7 of diamonds and his mystery card hit the muck, and the river is an 8.
Is Tom going to fire another bullet? We talked yesterday about second bullets being very successful. It seems like depending on how big it was, if it were all in, it would put Phil to the test, but he is known to utilize white magic and make those tough calls. Is Tom going to jam?
Contact.
Basically jams. He bets 400,000. Phil's only got 495.
Yeah, he has 645 back. And this is a statement
Well,
here
Phil,
saying
it's
I'm willing to go with it.
490, 425. So he's leaving Phil 70,000.
Oh, right. He does have Phil covered here, so more relevant is the relation to Phil's stack,
Contact.
which is virtually all of it. And it works. And Marchese perhaps,
Yes.
oh, is he going to show it? Wow, shows the 3 of clubs.
What are they doing? Wow.
Okay. Nice one.
Defended with deuce 3. Wow. How do I not bust that? Wow. You guys play so differently than I do. I wish I could play with you guys every day.
We wish the same.
Really, Fedor?
Yes.
I have the best ROI no limit hold'em in history. Work on it and see where you can come up with. You're close.
How do you know?
Wow, he went crazy with
He's
deuce
a numbers
3
guy,
in the
doing the
blind.
math all day long.
God. Wow. I mean, my God. Bluff, bluff, bluff. Wow. Wow.
The game within the game. Who can put Phil Hellmuth on the most tilt? Advantage,
Okay.
Marchese.
Wow. How do I not bust that? Just not used to it, Marchese. I saw you try to give other people the tournament. That was my mistake.
Yeah.
Just to raise a little 200 ball on the turn would have been
Sometimes
fun.
you have to bluff, Phil. What can you do?
Well, when you defend so wide in the big blind, you're forced to bluff a lot, and that's what I forgot.
Not
Phil looks like he's eating his feelings right now.
I think that's an added reason for Marchese to make that bluff. Because if it's successful, not only do you win the
I'm a little
pot,
disappointed. I should've
but you
just
send
done
your
more.
opponent to the moon.
Or at least the snack bar.
All in call.
Kristner moves all in. Fedor
Uh-oh.
makes the call.
Flip for
And
the
they're
tournament.
racing.
No, not quite for the tournament. But
It's the 3 of us climbing the ladder.
I don't care about it. I don't care about that.
On a side bet, I pick Fedor's side, even when he has just 47%. I picked Fedor's side too.
Flop, ace high.
Good fight.
Instantly jumping into the lead and leaving Christner in rough shape in an almost 3 million chip pot, David. Whoever wins this one is going to be very well situated. No straight runner on the turn and no jack on the river. All she wrote for Christian Christner.
1.7.
Yeah. Okay.
He was second in chips. Fedor was first.
Fedor with over half the chips now.
Game, bro.
As we see Phil Hellmuth's incredibly impressive 14 World Series bracelets and 126 caches, all of it. And he's going to get called here is my guess.
495.
495,000.
Shy of half of the rest of Tom's chips. And he knows best case scenario he's racing, but
10 seconds.
doesn't he have to call this, David? Or no?
Well, I think he does, but it's worth thinking about because it's Phil Hellmuth, and he knows Phil Hellmuth, even though he says his range is a little tight when it comes to his tournament life. Phil Hellmuth,
As exhibited by the anecdote of 12 down to 2, but
yeah,
that was a
I
while
mean,
back.
This guy,
obviously.
yeah, he just, and I'm not even saying it's a good thing. I'm not saying it as to applaud him or as a disparaging comment. Just making an observation of things I've noticed. But you have to take that into account when you call Phil Hellmuth all in with something like sixes. Like,
So here it comes, and a 6 in the window. Little jack dangler for perhaps a glimmer of hope. The running king queen.
I don't blame you for calling it off with sixes.
He just doesn't know better.
And that's it. Phil
What a
Hellmuth.
bummer. You guys tried to give me the tournament. I just couldn't take it.
It was fun.
Match.
Phil finishes
Match
in
Fedor.
fourth.
I look forward to,
Next one.
yeah,
Tomorrow.
Take a nap,
Yeah.
come back at 7.
that's pretty much what I have to do. Nap and come back.
Nice hand, Tom.
God damn
You
it.
don't like call? That's okay.
That was a big flip.
I'm just trolling. Alright, yeah, like what? Am I missing something?
We lost Phil. Holz and Christner in a pre-flop race, but the results were never in doubt. Fedor with a commanding lead.
Oh, what a bummer. You guys tried to give me the tournament. I just couldn't take it.
Welcome back to the Poker Masters Event 2 final table. Maria Ho is with the recently departed Phil Hellmuth.
Phil, pretty standard and unavoidable flip that you just got involved with against Tom in order to bust in fourth place. Everybody knows how competitive you are. How do you feel about this finish?
Yeah, I'm very disappointed. I mean, like, I underestimated, like, the new style of poker they're defending in these blinds with really, really, really bad hands. And I should have taken that into consideration. Marchese tried to hand me the tournament, and it was my fault. I didn't call. And it would have been nice to win that flip because I was ready to start calling him. I would have had $1 million in chips. I think I'm going to finish first or second if I win the flip. So very disappointing because, you know, fourth place is 200,000. It could be 10 minutes and the other two guys are out. And, you know, it could be one of those. So I wish I would have lasted a little while longer, but it's my fault.
Thanks, Maria. So with Phil Hellmuth out of the way, we are down to 3 players with 900 grand going to the champ, and third place guaranteed 300,000. Not too bad for a couple of days' work. 105,000, says Marchese from the button. 55 more to call for Holz with the King 4, and he repops it to 350,000. And boy, ace-7 of hearts.
Fedor is applying pressure at all the right moments. He's never made one of these moves when they have aces, you know? He's dialed in.
Marchese lays it down. Ace-7 suited, David. He did have position. Did Marchese. Button raise. You get 3-bet by a guy like Fedor, who you know has the big stack and is going to lean on you.
That's not the hand you want to make that call with, right? It's too easy to just be dominated, be up against the better ace, out of position. You're going to be playing for stacks if you connect.
What about a 4-bet? Take your chances.
I like that. I like that better than a call. Just don't think Tom felt it was the right time.
Understandably. Oh boy.
This is the right time, he's saying. See, this is why you wait. You don't call with the ace-7 of hearts or put it in. You wait till you get the ace-jack of spades and they've got ace-10 of clubs.
Listen, Holz could easily have the ace-queen against you here, but I see what you're saying.
You got to show me, buddy, is what I say.
All in from the big blind is Tom for 1.54 million.
1,535,000.
This is such a huge raise. Ace-10 suited shriveling up.
Yeah, I mean, you got to think about the kind of hands. Is Marchese doing this with the ace-7 of hearts? We see he's not, but Fedor doesn't know that yet. 30 minutes hasn't gone by.
But it's so much more. Holtz made it 165,000. He can certainly afford to walk away from that number without risking it. You have to ask yourself what the bottom end of Tom's range is before deciding to make this call.
Exactly.
And how much of the total range are you beating?
Yeah, and I think that's right now what he's thinking of. And he's also realizing he's got the Fedor factor. He makes the nuts
He
a lot.
knows his reputation. He's self-aware. I mean, sure, yeah, the stigma about always having it or whatever aside, I don't think anyone lends too much merit to that. I think it's more about he is capable of just that zigzag, unpredictable, wide array of hands, and that influences sometimes action. And he makes the call somewhat reluctantly, and bad news, Fedor.
The rise of Tom Marchese.
Oh, don't ride the broom.
All right, you're right.
Because 10 high flops are not available?
That is true.
I'll tell you what, though. Tom woke up this morning saying, yeah, I'll take this.
Get down to three-handed and have the best hand all in pre-flop against Fedor to...
Not just the best hand, but a dominant hand. Here it comes, 3.12 million chip pot, and oh my God!
Oh man, get out of here! Get out of here!
This guy is just ridiculous.
Come on, come on! This is just ridiculous.
Bye, Tom. I mean, look, it's not impossible for him to hit the running full house, but
well, this is how you start it. You got to pack your bag and walk off.
no, too late.
Not against Fedor.
All right, good luck, Steffen.
That is just demoralizing.
Yeah, Tom takes it well.
I blame you for this one. This
Hey.
is all on you.
To be honest, this actually already happened. We're watching. We're delayed.
Oh yeah,
Not
sure.
that I knew what happened, but I could not have affected
fall
it.
back on
unless
that.
it's like a hold-a-door, Hodor type thing. In the future, affecting the past, but living.
Some butterfly effect weirdness.
I hate that a lot. It's so sick.
Interstellar.
What's Sherman? Shame. Yeah, like at some point you just... Yeah.
I'm still in shock. I can only imagine how Tom feels. Just not fair. Ace-10 versus Ace-Jack. Typically an uphill climb, but no sweat for Fedor. He flops the nut flush and leaves Marchese on the outside looking in. warm welcome back inside our studio here at the Aria Resort and Casino in Las Vegas, where it is time for heads-up play. And guess what, David Williams?
What's that?
The winner will be a German.
Dann willst du ja dafür.
Holly Najad and Maria Ho alongside, my man.
Ja, wenn das am Flop jammt, dann sieht gut aus.
And no English-only stipulations when it's just
Well,
the
that's
two
what I
of
was
you.
asking. I was saying yesterday, what happens? Are they? I mean, I think they should be allowed to. Not for the viewers; it's bad for us. But who are we to tell them they can't speak their native tongue to each other?
Maybe I gotta bust out the Google Translate.
Can do that. Oh, 50.
Not much table talk here. These guys look like they're all business.
Blinds at 25 and 50K with the 50K ante. Every two hands. Cost you $1.25 in chips, which is more of an issue for Sontheimer at present than for Fedor, certainly. Steffen trying to get away with the limp, and look at the relentlessness of Holz. Makes it 165,000, and Sontheimer is going to make the call. And we have to presume that these two have been in heads-up confrontations, whether it's by virtue of being part of a small group of friends who talk poker with one another on a regular basis and help advance one another's games, or in actual events.
Well, they were.
So
I
there's
think.
history.
I don't know if Fedor was involved, but I know Sontheimer and the guys were playing some 1-3 no limit to practice for this beforehand.
That's right. And the unfortunate meat in the German sandwich there was one of our own producers, Dan Gotti, who's like, I can't just find a nice little 1-3 game in Vegas anymore.
I'm going to wager with those guys, if they're playing 1-3, they're probably going to be playing softer than your normal opponents who are out there carrying. They were probably having some drinks and goofing around and
I don't
splashing
know.
pots.
I don't know if that's a given, as the flop went check, check, and wouldn't you know it, Holtz hits a 3 on the turn. Granted, his jack high was best already, and Sontheimer does pick up the gut shot straight draw, but this could embolden him. He opts to check. Sontheimer checks back and hits the 5. Third club, but he does have the 6 high straight. $130,000 chip bet from Fedor. Seeking value.
All in.
Sontheimer moves all in, and presumably Fedor is going to muck, but not right away. $540,000 to call. Befuddled, but disciplined. Fedor lays it down. For a report from the floor, let's send it down to our Maria Ho.
I chatted with Fedor and Steffen together right before Heads Up play started, and they were both in really good spirits, seeing as how they're very close friends, and this will be the first time they've gotten Heads Up in a live tournament for such high stakes. They said it's going to be a win-win situation no matter what. When I asked them how they first met, Steffen actually told me that Fedor messaged him online in March of 2014 if he wanted to come to Canada and grind scoop with them. And Steffen accepted, and the first time he ever met Fedor face-to-face was when he came to pick him up from the airport in Canada, and the rest is history. I asked Steffen how he feels about going heads up against Fedor, and he said he doesn't like his chances, but only because Fedor is luckier than him and because he has such a massive chip advantage. When I asked Fedor how he feels about playing Steffen heads up, Fedor just told me that he thinks he's at his peak and he thinks he's gonna win.
We're creeping closer and closer to crowning a champion. Stay close. More Poker Masters from Aria in a moment. Six-five deuce, all spades, as Sontheimer outflops the jack high after limp calling the extra 140,000. Neither player with a flush draw here. Steffen check calls a $125 and turns trip sixes. Holz bet into him, rather. My apologies.
This is just purely Fedor trying to just muscle him out of this pot.
Not going to work, though.
No, we see it's not going to work, but it's not like he's really trying to represent anything other than just strength. Like just firing in case Goose was looking him up or floating or calling with substantially inferior hands. It would get him off of them, but it's not going to happen.
Goose just calls the 310 and hits quads on the end.
It's always a good feeling, just in case your opponent had a little flush or a full house.
Well, what about the 3-4 spades?
Now you've only got one thing to worry about, and it's not that big of a worry because you're going to get it in no matter what.
Confirmed.
It would be fantastic here to count down and check and Fedor just move in on him.
All in.
Oh,
It happened.
My goodness.
It happened. Goose, give him a little slow roll. Give your buddy a slow roll. Looks like he's doing it. This is fantastic. You know they're friends here. He's gonna look back.
You know the rule?
I love it.
Oops.
You are in the must slow roll rule, right? Yeah. Good.
The must slow roll rule. I guess if you have the nuts and you get moved in on, not really the nuts, but quads are basically the nuts.
Let's effectively the nuts.
You must slow roll. I like it. I wish that were a thing in poker.
Slow roll? Yes, please. Sontheimer with a little needle to his friend, and it's not clear if Fedor appreciated, but heads up continues. Like most tournaments, the big money is up at the top, and that's what Fedor and Steffen are competing for. $900,000 to the champ and $550 grand going to the runner-up. Steffen right back in this heads-up match, as quads can certainly give a boost to any stack.
When I first played PLO in Dallas, there was a $500 min buy-in game, but it played pretty big, but that was just the minimum buy-in. And I learned about running it twice. When you get it all in, you run it twice.
Right, right.
And I remember I got into a huge pot, and I had the straight flush, and there's basically like no straight flush that could run and beat me. And we get all in, and the guy's like, "You want to run it twice?" And I was a young kid, nervous, like, "Yeah, of course." So we didn't turn our hands over. They run it twice, and he turns over. Like, one hand he got there on something, and I turn my hand over, and they see that I had the stone nut straight flush. They're like, "Why didn't you just tell him instead of running it twice?" I'm like, I don't know. It reminds me, massive slow roll, and had no idea I was slow rolling a guy.
Well, the slow roll rule is apparently in effect between these two, as we've seen with the quad sixes that Goose
Must
had.
slow roll.
3-bet here from Holz to 465,000 with 4 high has been called by Sontheimer's 10-6 suited, and these are the kind of chefs that know how to take yesterday's stuff and make a solid dish out of it. You know what I mean? It doesn't have to be fresh off the truck.
Yeah.
King Jack 4. Holz outflops Sontheimer with bottom pair.
I see what you did there. You're going from master chef to poker master. You're tying in master and chef and cooking and.
Listen, I would love to take credit for these moments, but it's inadvertent genius if it's genius at all. I promise.
Fedor checks bottom pair. Sontheimer with a lot of backdoor action.
990 in the middle, and another diamond, giving Fedor a flush draw to go with what is already the best hand.
Every time I hear backdoor action, I think of The Life and Times of Tim, season 1. You remember that show?
Life and Times of Tim?
It was like a cartoon, I think, on HBO, or I don't know what it was.
I didn't do the adulthood cartoons. I did Little Family Guy, Little Simpsons early on.
That's the only season I've ever watched, but I remember backdoor action was a thing.
Sontheimer doesn't bite, yeah.
It's like they both know.
I know he knows, I know he knows. Remember, this pot was raised on the button by Sontheimer, and then it was 3-bet by Fedor in the big blind. Checked on 2 streets, and now after a 3rd check from Fedor, Sontheimer seizing the initiative and firing. How meaty is this bet? 760,000. Is he going to click the call button?
I mean, I'm not a predictor of the future. It's a tough call, especially after he just paid off on a huge overbet before.
But what makes sense here? Raise the button, call the 3-bet, check back in position, flop and turn, and then suddenly on the river come out with $750,000.
Jack.
Fedor utilizing a time extension here.
This is high-level poker because, you know, like your average home poker game, no, they're just mucking. You know, they're not thinking about it with their 4. Or they're just not, like, very thoughtful, and they just, I call. They don't really, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, he's definitely delving into it. 10 seconds left. And down goes the best hand.
and is that a chip leader now? Do we have a new chip leader?
I believe it is official.
Steffen Sontheimer has climbed back from 8-1 down.
They call him Goose, but right now he's the sheriff. Sontheimer had scraps to start heads up, but now sitting in the chip lead.
And we've got a great final table here at Aria Resort and Casino. Let's get back down to the action.
King Jack. 10 high. Yeah. 10-6 of clubs.
Fedor raises with King Jack. Ace Jack for the Goose.
All in.
He did it again, a pretty huge raise.
1.82 million to call. Even with the blinds where they are, David, this is not possible, is it?
You know, these guys are on a whole nother level. Like, yeah, on the surface, on level 1, it seems like, okay, it's not possible. See, he makes the call. But then when he knows that, it's like, well, then maybe he just thinks it's not possible and I can't call without that many hands. He's going to do it with some goofy hand. Turns out he wasn't. But these guys are on level 2, level 3, and it gets it gets cloudy.
And that is a look of a man whose pre-flop holding is dominated. He has King Jack up against the Ace Jack, and at one point he had that 5 million and change to just 810,000 chip lead, and here he finds himself all in and at risk with no help on the 7-7-8 board. Just 3 paltry kings dangling atop your screen. The outs for Fedor Holz. 4 clubs on the turn, and he's got one pull of the slot machine to double up. And that's not it.
We have a champion.
Steffen Sontheimer wins event number 2 of 5 here at Poker Masters. Good for $900,000 and
the lead.
The overall lead.
Pretty
of course,
impressive.
for the purple jacket.
To follow up yesterday's finish, top, was it 5th, 4th? To follow up yesterday's finish with just a win, which means he missed a good portion of the beginning of the tournament, and his mind was not primed from playing a final table all day.
Correct.
You know, suffering through the tension of that, to have to jump back in the early levels, and
Not
to win
an
it.
easy feat.
And to win it, just like that.
As we get a look now at the payouts from today's action. Dan Shack, we didn't get a chance to see, bubbled the final table, making 100,000. Fedor picks up 550 in second. Marchese, 300,000 for that 3rd place finish. And let's not forget Phil Hellmuth picking up a cool 200 grand in 4th. And our Maria Ho is standing by with our champion and the runner-up. Maria.
Steffen, congratulations. We talked about birthday run good. It was your birthday a few days ago. So do you think that played a part in maybe why you ran kind of hot against Fedor heads up, or what? You just think you're the better player?
Well, I think it was just time that someone started running hard against Fedor in a heads-up poker. So, yeah, I had the birthday run good in the first one, and this is just a normal run hard.
So you are one of 2 players, Adrian being the other one, who made back-to-back final tables in the first 2 prelims here at Poker Masters. What do you think it says about you as a poker player to do that? And now you have a very good chance of becoming the Poker Master and winning that purple jacket, of course.
Well, it says that I was pretty lucky 2 times in a row. We've seen from other players that are in that room that this is possible 3 times, so let's try. Let's jump in the next one.
All right, well, congratulations in that quest.
At the second Poker Masters event, Phil Hellmuth made his presence and his dissatisfaction known.
How do I not bust that? God. Bluff, bluff, bluff.
But that alone does not win titles, as German pro Steffen Sontheimer continued his red-hot 2017 with a $900,000 win. The race for the purple jacket is heating up. For David Williams, Maria Ho, and our entire team, I'm Ali Nejad saying good night from Las Vegas.